Good evening, climate viewers. Good to be back with you. And yeah, I wasn't here last week. Been busy renovating. As you can see, things are looking a little different on the stream today. Thank you for tuning in. One of my favorite topics of my dearly past friend Mike Morales, bunker fuel and ship tracks. A lot of people don't even know about this topic still to this day, which is highly surprising. I think my first article on bunker fuel was 2013. But now, the geoengineers are really big mad about the International Maritime Organization banning bunker fuel in 2020. And they're begging for it back. So what was once called accidental geoengineering is for certain intentional geoengineering, and they're saying the quiet part out loud. So all the receipts are about to be brought. It's already pinned in the chats and details. It's on climateviewer.substack.com. If you are already signed up there, you already got the article at like 2 o'clock in the morning, because I was literally up till 2 a.m. last night writing it. But that's why you need to come over to connect.climateviewer.com. All the links are already there. You can check out Climate Viewer News, weather modification history, the troll slayer of the internet, weather modification history, and Climate Viewer Maps. Soon to get a full makeover, remake from Scratchola. It's going to look it's going to be the most beautiful website. It's going to have everything so big, so beautiful. And you can support the channel, plus links to the Telegram chat and all my social media where you can follow me at. And if you're on Facebook watching this, know that ship has sailed. After the crap that Facebook's been pulling lately, I'm more than likely, if I don't delete Facebook altogether, know that it's probably going to go away. So you might want to go subscribe somewhere else. So definitely hit up connect.climateviewer and go to Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey. If you want to watch the lives, I'm streaming to YouTube, Rumble, X, and D Live, and Twitch. And I'm going to be setting up Foxhole soon. Then after the video is not live anymore, it gets mirrored to BitChute and Odyssey. So, pick your poison or subscribe to all of them. Hell, I'd love that. I'd greatly appreciate it. That being said, let's dig into this thing. So how did we get here? What is this all about? And this has a lot of parallels with the lines in the sky. These are the lines in the sea. These are the lines in the ocean. These are the ship tracks of the ocean. As you can see in the cover photo, in the background there, all those swirls, all those white lines, that is the entire Pacific Ocean covered in ship tracks. Better shot of that. Let me pull it up right here. You all can see it full size. This is ship tracks. Okay? So where you see the thin part right here, that's where the ship is, and this is the trail coming off of it. Here's the ship, there's the trail. Ship right here, trail, and these go thousands of miles until they just amalgamate into a big soupy marine stratocumulus cloud, which pretty much covers the entire Pacific Ocean. Why is this important? Because since they banned bunker fuel, they don't look like that anymore. There's a whole lot of blue here. Used to, a decade ago, when I covered this regularly, you could not come and look at the Pacific Ocean without finding hundreds of ship tracks. Now they're becoming a rarity. If I scroll in and I'm looking and I'm hunting, I might be lucky to find one or two. I did this before the live stream. I was checking just to see, and there is nary a ship track to be seen. If you can believe that. I mean, they're not there. And even in the Atlantic corridor, it's just dead zone. I mean, literally, there's no there. I mean, there's nothing going on up there. I rocked it back till daytime and watched through about 2 full days of this area. Nothing. So they're pretty big mad about that, and we're gonna get into why and how. This is a shot from ClimateViewer 3D in 2013, using the NASA 367 band, which really highlights the ship tracks, and you can actually see them through the clouds. So even in the thick cloud banks, you can see the even faint ship tracks that aren't visible in geocolor and RGB. Let's just put it that way. So this has been a long time problem which has disappeared, but they desperately want their problem back, despite the fact that the sulfur content of heavy fuel oil or ship tracks kills hundreds of thousands. Yes, I know Mike's got to be smiling. This one's inspired by Mike. There's no doubt about it. If you guys don't know who we're talking about, Mike Morales from Above Ground World News was a longtime follower of mine. He started broadcasting, doing his 16-day weather report around 2015-ish. And this is one of his favorite topics, was to go ship track hunting. And, oh, Lord, I'm not going to get it. Chat, you're not going to get me tonight. Not a chance. Too much to go through. All right. But yes, rest in peace, brother. We miss you, Mike. So ship tracks and contrails are a nuisance at best and a killer at worst. The pollution from jet aircraft and international shipping exhaust directly affects human health, and despite moves to curtail these silent killers, scientists are calling for more sulfur emissions in the name of global warming and geoengineering. Propaganda media outlets labeled this as accidental geoengineering. However, it's no longer an accident, it's intentional geoengineering. What the hell am I talking about with accidental geoengineering? Back in 2018 on MIT Technology Review, or on MIT's Climate X, they actually, the link is right here. You can see it, climatex.mit.edu. The guys over at MIT had the wherewithal, which was pretty dumb, to allow people from the public to post on their website. So I, was prompted by Dr. Rick Shankman, who was a MIT alumni member, and he said, Jim, I think that, you should write something for this. So I was like, well, if I had one message to send to MIT, what would it be? And I wrote this article. Well, this article, Accidental Geoengineering with Ship Tracks and Contrails, became the #1 most viewed website on their entire Climate X platform, and it had the most shares, most likes, comments, and eventually they just cleansed the entire website. They deleted everything that was there, but I still have the original. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I directly attacked MIT for what they had said in it. And what they said was right here, we're about to kill, get out of my face. We're about to kill a massive accidental experiment in reducing global warming. A forthcoming United Nations regulation will slash shipping industry pollution, but may also speed up climate change. This was from 2018, January 22nd. My article was from April 1st, 2018. And so, just right on the heels of this, I think I actually published mine, March. Yeah, like in March on the MIT Climate X. And yeah, they were big mad about that it was getting so much attention. So I pointed out all of the flaws in their logic and how stupid this whole idea of calling it accidental geoengineering, and of course they call it an accidental experiment in reducing global warming. What kind of experiments reduce global warming? Geoengineering. Why am I saying accidental geoengineering? Because they said the same thing about contrails. They said the exact same thing about contrails. Airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. Link right here at the bottom, Smithsonian Magazine. I got an ad blocker and I'm not turning it off. Suck it. And it's right there, still to this day. This is from 2015, and it's referring to Dr. Chuck Long talking about the exact same thing. That ice haze, not the clouds right here, but that a subvisual ice haze is intentionally whitening the sky, but they call it an accidental geoengineering, and they say it may be unintentionally affecting our climate. Well, if there's more info there at the bottom right here, more info, and you can actually see what Dr. Charles Long said about it. Long suggests that high altitude ice haze created by water and other emissions from aircraft is responsible. I'm talking about a subvisual contrail generated haze of ice, which we do not classify as a cloud, but gives the blue sky a more whitish tint. Now, why am I saying this? Because his exact words are clear as day. Evidence of clear sky, daylight whitening. Are we already conducting geoengineering? Now, he's from NOAA's Earth Systems Research Lab. This is not a tinfoil hat wearer, okay? And he really blew the whistle on this. And is anybody shocked that there has not been any follow-up on his research? He's passed away now, so missed that chance to get that interview with him. But he's passed away, top of his field, said that it's geoengineering, and nobody's even curious. No intellectual honesty in the scientific community. Is it a contrail, or a chemtrail, says Terry Berry. It is both. It is neither. A chemtrail is a contrail is a chemtrail, and neither really matters after it spreads out. It is not a contrail or a chemtrail. It is a cirrus cloud. Cirrus clouds matter. You should learn about that. And I suggest that you do that by going to YouTube and going to Stella Q's channel. If you're in the YouTube chat right now, Stella, wave real quick and give them a link to your channel. And you guys should check out Whether or Not with my good friend Stella Q and Jeff M, our chief of meteorologism at the ClimateViewer Telegram chat. And he'll get you educated, and they will get you educated and up to date on what's a cloud, what type of cloud, why the cloud, why not the cloud, and get you your own little baccalaureate of cloudism. I think it's important that everybody understand this stuff, and I support what they do. I love that they're doing it. I've even thought about doing reactions to their videos, but I'm not going to steal your thunder, Stella. Plus, I don't have a cool Australian accent. So, I mean, and Jeff doesn't have an accent. Like, I don't know how to even put that. So anyway, so they banned heavy bunker fuel. And if you haven't ever actually looked at this stuff, that's why I put the photo there. This is about the consistency of heavy fuel oil. So when you think about bunker fuel, you have raw crude oil. And crude oil is then refined. As you refine it, you take out impurities. And then it gets thinner and clearer as you go up the scale from the bottom of the barrel, heavy fuel oil, all the way up to the top with gasoline, kerosene, diesel, things like that, going down the line. The bottom of the barrel, the nastiest of the nasty, is bunker fuel. And it has a lot of sulfur in it. And sulfur is what volcanoes spew into the stratosphere. That is why they like sulfur so much. Sulfur emissions, whether it's in jet fuel at altitude or from international shipping, which there's a lot of shipping, and I don't think people really can appreciate it without like visualizing it. Like I need images myself to really appreciate a thing. We're talking this much shipping. This is live right now. So all of these ships are crossing the ocean to and fro. This is globalism at work. Mike Ollinger says, Jim, bunker fuel has not been banned if ship use stack scrubbers. Dude, bro, man, let's not what's the word? Let's not really get into the weeds of that, because at the end of the day, most of the ships that are out there are not going to pay the money to put those scrubbers on there. And as you're going to see by the end of this video, that's not the only thing they're begging them to do. They don't just want them to relax the ban on bunker fuel. They want them to go the extra mile and turn them into marine cloud brightening boats on top of that. But, you know, hey, that's the way it is. But good point. You are right. That it's just like with anything. Put a big catalytic converter on top of your ship and you can keep your dirty fuel oil. True story. So back to this thing, a history lesson briefly. We're going to go through it very rapidly. Hold on to your britches. So in 2009, now, if you guys haven't heard about the Geoengineering group, I was a part of this group back in 2000, I want to say 11 through 12. You know what? I don't know. I'd have to actually look, to be honest with you. So let me just, before we go any further, I'll look. This is the Google Geoengineering group. This is where all of the geoengineers have their conversations. There's Andrew Lockley. Most of those are him doing like weekly summaries. Group used to be much more active, but if you just type in here and I go resonated@gmail.com, boom, and these are all me. So up till, let's see, 2014 and back towards 2012. So for about 2 years, I was in there, you know, starting junk. This one's particularly interesting. I repeatedly asked John Neeson from the AMEG website that not to use my freaking name. This is Ken Caldera getting big mad after I did a video on YouTube. You cannot make this stuff up. Me trolling Ken Caldera. Those were the good old days. The good old days. Now, why did I just show you that? So that was, you know, me. And for those who don't believe that's actually me, let me go back and let's see. This is Ken Caldera responding to me right here. See, I wrote all this. You know, how will they address? You go all the way up to the top. This is the stuff I wrote. Bill Gates, the hurricane tamer. That basically that Ken Caldera. I'm like, hey, Ken, why are you and William H. Gates III, Bill Gates, and Ken Caldera, and John Latham, and Steven Salter all on, and Lowell Jr., like, why are you guys from the Pacific North, not Pacific Northwest, it's Lawrence Livermore National Lab. Why are the Lawrence Livermore crowd, Wood and Roderick Hyde, on a patent with Bill Gates and Ken Caldera and John Latham and Steven Salter? Steven Salter also just recently passed away. He was actually one of the nicest geoengineers I ever spoke with. Was very open with me. But of course he's British, so they're built different. You know what I mean? He was just a very charming guy. So they, you know, this is Steven Salter, Jim Lee. I agree with Ken and you about transparency. Steven Salter, all around pretty cool dude. Rest in peace, brother. But yes, I argued repeatedly with these guys, and that's why this part is important. So that's why I want to bring it up. But this is particularly funny because, as you're about to see, in this geoengineering group back in 2009, and I want to point this out for everybody. When I started this article, this literally had 8 views. It had 3 views. I've been back to it a couple times, as you can see. But you can see that in this list is Ken Caldera talking about Oliver Morton writing an article about the International Maritime Organization's plan to warm the world. You can't make this stuff up. So this is it back from 2009. Oh no, the IMO is going to take away bunker fuel and it's going to warm up the world. And Ken Caldera, geoengineer, he was pretty, he was big mad about it. Let's just put it that way. Big mad. Okay. I'm going to close out some of these other tabs real quick while we got a second here. And you come back to it and you see, well, who's in on this conversation? I scroll down and I see, oh, wait, there's John Neeson. Hey, Ken, this is a golden opportunity to publicize the reduction of sulfur aerosols in the troposphere, which would not harm the world, which would warm the world and could be counterbalanced by a relatively smaller quantity of sulfur aerosols in the troposphere, while overall reducing acid rain and harmful pollution effects. Let's put this in context over the next blah, 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 blah. Anyway, David Keith, everybody knows David Keith, right? What did David Keith say about this? Well, I'm courtesy copying my colleague, Jim Corbett, who wrote a bunch of important papers on emissions from shipping, is the author of the latest paper mentioned here, and has worked with the IMO on this. Jim, any discussion on the trade-off at the IMO? Some ships already dual fuel bunkers and natural gas, meaning they have 2 different tanks, bunker fuel and natural gas, where natural gas is burned in and near a port to comply with local air quality. Interesting, because I've heard the exact same thing said about airplanes repeatedly. Why don't we use ultra low sulfur jet fuel or sustainable aviation fuel or biofuels on takeoff, and then once they get up to altitude, switch to a sulfur-doped fuel? Why? Because using low sulfur fuel near an airport would kill less people, and less people would complain, and then they could still get away with mimicking volcanoes by putting sulfur up into the sky. And it turns out the exact same thing is true with shipping. Using 2 different fuels in one vessel so that they can lower the amount of mortality near carbon copy. Do they pay carbon taxes for their carbon copies? I call them courtesy copies. I'm Southern, okay? We're very courteous. Jesus. Anyway, so they talk about other things in here, but that's really the main thing I wanted to point out. So you got the whole gang in on this thing talking. I mean, as you can see, back then, the group was much more active, okay? Because you got John Neeson, you got David Keith, back to John Neeson, Andrew Lockley, Steven Salter's in here. Certainly, we'll use some of our existing ships for doing our marine cloud brightening. If you don't know, Steven Salter and John Latham, the reason I mentioned them is because they are the inventors of marine cloud brightening. Just like the experiment which occurred, and I put it at the very end here, the San Francisco Bay Marine Cloud Brightening Project that really pissed everybody off with these things. John Latham and Steven Salter were the inventors of that. There are no coincidences here. So Marine Cloud Brightening, the Silver Lining Project, and the Great Barrier Reef Restoration Project, they're all Marine Cloud Brightening projects, and they all come from Steven Salter and John Latham. So this is that Stephen Salter right here. And I'm not sure, but I don't think John Latham's in this thread. But regardless, tying a bow on this, let's get back to where we were. So, too far, a little too far. So what happens next is, it really was shocking to me personally, because as you could see, basically here you basically got Ken blowing the whistle on the fact that they're going to reduce the freaking, the sulfur in ship tracks and shipping fuel, and John Neeson going, this is a golden opportunity to publicize the reduction, but we could use this to cool the world. So what does John Neeson go on to do? John Neeson, in 2011, his Arctic Methane Emergency Group sent a letter to world leaders. You can take a look at the letter yourself. None of this is made up. All the links, I remember everything, and I keep receipts. So that's what this channel is all about. You guys know by now. This is the Arctic Methane Emergency Group's website, which has been deleted from the internet, which is at ameg.me. And this was their letter to world leaders from December 2011, which has a horrible font on it, I might add. But I'll give you the highlights of what they basically said to the world leaders right here. They said a whole lot of things. But what's really funny is this part. You can't make it up. And remember, this is written in 2011. In their AMEG strategic plan, which is still available on the web at the ameg.blogspot.com 2012/12, you can see right here that they said the trend is for September ice to fall to 0 by 2015. That there would be no ice on the North Pole by 2015. Thus, we can expect 1 month without sea ice in 2015, with the possibility for this event in 2014 or even 2013. So literally, December 2012, they had just written a letter. This is I'd have to look at all the captures. I wonder what the first capture on this is. It's 2012 also. So this is March 2012. It's dated 2011, but that's their letter to world leaders. In their proposal, their strategic action plan, they said things like this. There's one thing that we know among their proposals, which were rejected, and they were big mad about it. You can see it here where they got big mad when they asked the world leaders, like the UK Parliament, which then basically said, maybe this is a bad idea. We don't really like what you're saying, and there's not enough evidence to go ahead and start doing geoengineering like you want to do. So they got big mad, and they said, government response to Environmental Audit Committee report based on non-existent observations, says AMEG, who were really mad that basically the UK Parliament didn't immediately jump on their idea to geoengineer. What was that idea? Oh, it's real. It's big dumb. It's big dumb. Like you can't even make this stuff up, big dumb. But we're going to just keep this in the context of ship tracks today. There's one thing we know we can do that can produce an amount of cooling power, the sulfate aerosol in the troposphere as emitted from coal-fired power stations and from ship bunker fuel. This aerosol has offset CO2 warming by around 75% in the past century. 89.937 repeating percent of statistics are made up on the spot. Scientists are just so full of shit. Just a fact that I've seen repeatedly, because he was clearly wrong about the freaking ice in 2015. But basically, ship track aerosols, the marine stratocumulus ship tracks created by bunker fuel burning ships Offset CO2 warming by around 75% in the past century. Bro, you're delusional. You're delulu for Shulu. There should be a temporary suspension of initiatives and regulations to suppress these emissions, while they are having a significant cooling effect in the northern hemisphere unless human health is at risk. Well, dude, you know human health is at risk. Why play around? You know this, but they don't care. So interventions in the Earth system and under their action plan try to maintain or even enhance the current cooling effect from different emitted sulfate aerosols in the troposphere at mid to high northern latitudes. For example, the regulation to ban bunker fuels from ships should be relaxed while encouraging continued use of bunker fuel where resulting aerosol emissions might be beneficial. That is literal geoengineering. That is geoengineering. You cannot put it any other way. And if you don't believe me, I went digging, and Andrew Lockley, who has another Substack, who is the forum moderator of that group, here he is, Solar Geoengineering Updates, and he basically just stacks in all of the scientific papers on geoengineering every single month. He just, everything from their geoengineering group, he puts it in a single newsletter. So this is the Andrew Lockley I'm talking about. He is the forum moderator for the Google Geoengineering group, which I showed you guys right here, Geoengineering News. That's him. And, there's this Solar Geoengineering Updates.substack.com. That's Andrew. And there's a graphic made by me. That's from my PowerPoint presentation. Love you, Andrew. I know you're watching this right now. I don't hold it against you. He also was the geoengineer behind the Satan Project, which you can read all about on my ClimateViewer Substack. Satan, the stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation, where, he got big mad because there's a special place in hell for those who leak their colleagues' work, tormented by ever-burning sulfur. Ooh. Anyway, that Andrew Lockley, what did he say? In a paper coincidentally named Accidental Geoengineering, he said, for clarity, it's preventing the desulfurization of marine fuels that would be geoengineering. So if you're against, getting rid of bunker fuel, that would be geoengineering. Not me saying it, even though I've said it for over 10 years. That's Andrew Lockley saying it. And he rubs shoulders with geoengineers every single day and has since at least 2009 by what I just showed you. And he is the forum moderator here. And what is this that they're talking about? They're talking about accidental geoengineering. What kind? The same kind I just showed you about. Jet traffic linked to ice haze, BBC article. So yeah, that kind of accidental geoengineering, they don't like that word accident, and they don't like going, but I mean, what is the definition of accidental? Why are we calling it this? And why are we even calling it geoengineering? It's not geoengineering. According to Andrew Lockley, yeah, if you're trying to prevent desulfurization, meaning if you're against getting sulfur out of the fuel, you're actually in favor of geoengineering. That is what you're doing. Okay? There's no arguing this. And like I said, thank you for your clarification, Andrew. And I mean it, Andrew. From me to you, thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. Clarification is good. So, what happened after the bunker fuel ban went into effect in 2020? Studies were published, and they claimed that there was less pollution, less dead people, but the oceans heated up. Oh, no. And you can see that right here. Links to all of this stuff, here if you want to read it. Has reducing ship emissions brought forward global warming. Published August 12th, 2024. Damn, that was recent. Anyway, and they show right here, all surface temperature anomalies, net cloud radiative effect anomalies, estimated shipping radiative forcing. Oh no, it's getting warmer. It's getting warmer in the Atlantic corridor and across the Pacific. Oh noes, bring back our ship tracks. And links to that there. So that's when, things started to get worse for everybody. But estimating that 25 to 50% reduction in visible tracks. Now, at the beginning of this, I was showing you guys, I'm going to estimate that it's even higher than that because I can't find it. I mean, I've stopped showing maps recently just because there's just nothing to see out there. I mean, used to I could just literally point at any random part of this sea, of this entire big ass ocean, and I could point out 15 to 25 ship tracks. I can't find any right now. Like none. So that's a huge difference. Whether it's scrubbers on the stacks or whether it's the ban on bunker fuel that's driving all this, they just ain't there now. Okay? So that's, right here. Article on that on phys.org. I hate that, and I'm not turning my ad blocker off. Shipping emissions regulations enacted in 2020 improved air quality but accelerated warming study finds. August 13th, 2024. From Pacific Northwest National Lab. Oh, by the way, they're the same people who were involved in that marine cloud brightening in San Francisco. Yeah. Pacific Northwest National Lab. Big surprise there. Everything links together. There are no coincidences. So, begging for bunker fuel. Bring back marine geoengineering. Now, this dude, Ron P. Bayman. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to close all these tabs to the right. Not new tab to the right. Close tabs to the right. Close other tabs to the right. So enter Ron P. Bayman, Associate Professor of Economics at Benedictine University, retired. What the hell does an economics professor have any business doing up in the geoengineering world? I don't know. You figure that out. He's an author, radical economist. The morality of radical economics. He's an author. He's written a whole lot of stuff. I checked out his Google Scholar. He's got 10 pages of stuff here. It's almost all economy. None of it's atmospheric science. None of it's, like anything geoengineering related. Bro's an economist, but now he's rubbing shoulders with the geoengineers. And, that's why he's cool now. So here's him up in the geoengineering group. He's also in Healthy Planet Action Coalition, Planetary Restoration, El Lecho Rolling, I don't know what the hell that is, Healthy Climate Alliance, and the Geoengineering Group. Dear colleagues, we want our they took away our ship tracks and we'd like them back. So I'm not going to read you all this. I'm just going to show you what he wrote. So he's got this little, letter that he wrote called Not now. Healthy Climate Action Coalition Petition to World Leaders. Does this sound familiar? Ron Bayman with, of all people, Stephen Salter, marine cloud brightening inventor. Mr. Stoneley, shut the hell up. We already knew all this, Jim. What are we going to do about it? I know what you're going to do about it. Puff on a green one, sit back and chill, brother man. As you taught me, the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. So sit back, puff on that thing all night long. So anyway, he wrote this Healthy Climate Action Coalition petition to world leaders, just like John Neeson did back in the day, the case for urgent direct climate cooling. They always use different terms for geoengineering, geoengineering, climate engineering, climate intervention, climate cooling. Yeah, this is all, he calls it DCC, direct climate cooling. And in there, he goes over all the different types, from bright water, buoyant flakes, cirrus cloud thinning, extremely diluted aqua regia aerosol, fizz tops, ice shields to thicken polar ice, iron salt aerosol, marine algal bloom stimulation, which, used to just be called, ocean iron fertilization. Kind of funny. Marine cloud brightening. Big surprise that's there. Mirrors for Earth's energy rebalancing. Mirrors in space to block the sun out. Space geoengineering. Ocean thermal energy conversion, like the Salter sink. I'm not going to wax too deep on all these things. I know what every single one of these things are. I barely covered, most of these. I stick to like cirrus cloud thinning, marine, the big ones. But there's a whole lot of like bright waters, putting, micro bubbles in the ocean and all that. Restoring soil and vegetation. Oh, you mean like what we did to fix the Dust Bowl? Seawater atomization, same thing as micro bubbles. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Surface albedo modification. That's like painting rooftops white. Titanium oxide aerosol. Ooh, that's a bad idea. Even though that's what the Saudis are actually using for cloud seeding. They're using titanium salts instead of silver salts. So they use titanium iodide instead of silver iodide in United Arab Emirates. But anyway, tree planting and reflective material use, and so all of these, but these are all the ideas. So he wrote that letter. It didn't get much traction. Okay, I mean, if you go back over here and you actually look at his his post, I'm gonna come back up. We can see it's pretty much him having a conversation with himself, and then one person responded. And like, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, if this were me, I certainly wouldn't have done this. I think he's actually responding to people in the other groups, and maybe we just can't see it here. But regardless, they're talking about all of this stuff. Adding sulfur to jet fuel might be another method to consider, but like, you can't. It's right there, guys. Like, I keep telling you, they've been saying the same stuff for over a decade. Like, over a decade. People just don't want to hear it. They'd rather believe, pumps, pipes narrative, all of this crap that, most of these, chemtrad freaking channels put out. They don't want the truth. They don't want to understand that, they're all about that sulfur, no contrails. They don't care about the contrails. They care about the sulfur. It's all about the sulfur. It's always been about the sulfur. But anyway, in his paper linked above, he states he prefers geoengineering now over caution. And this is from that paper I just showed you, the practical, blah, blah, blah. This one, the urgent case for all of that stuff. This is the kind of stuff that just gets me hot in the pants, like gets me really big mad. Intervention-related moral hazard arguments cannot be settled a priori and do not properly compare the possible risks of some climate cooling methods against known risks of not attempting to directly cool the climate. All right, look here. And I give a nice translation on this, and I insert words where necessary. So he's saying climate intervention related to moral hazard arguments cannot be settled a priori based on theoretical deduction rather than empirical observation. So that you can understand it all. Translation: since we cannot address moral hazard related concerns, we must deploy geoengineering, climate engineering, or climate intervention immediately, because we know that not attempting geoengineering would be worse. You don't know that, bro. Ron Bateman, I don't know you, man. I don't know you personally. You might just be hearing about me today for the first time. You know, I'm Jim Lee. I am not an expert, but I certainly know a hell of a lot more about this than you. And you got no damn business telling anybody anything about this, because you don't understand the implications of what you're talking about. When you start messing with climate systems, you kill people. Period. End of story. You are not God. None of you people are gods. Stop screwing with the weather. That it. And this whole argument, oh, it's the climate. We're trying to, we're trying to work on the climate. You know, we want to cool the climate. So that's not weather, Jim. You don't understand. But if you try to affect the global temperature through climate engineering, you will affect weather. Every study ever said so. International Assessment of Geoengineering Proposals, Geoengineering Model Inter Comparison Project. Go read some of Ben Kravitz's work, for God's sakes. Oh my God, the kids in the background. They just loud AF. So yeah, you got no business talking about this. And I get, you know, Stone's over here throwing Stone, you're just poking the bear tonight. It's all about the money, Jim. How does the money side of this BS work? It is always about the money. That's right. In politics or in climate change or in anything, money is the answer. Now, what is the question? You can say that every single time. If you're talking about the government or scientists, money's the answer. What's the question? And that's how all these research projects work. I'm not sure what the Project Yulia is. I'll have to look that up, and I will bookmark that, Kramos. Although I'm too curious, I have to look right now. LiDAR array measuring autonomously atmosphere wind. Oh, well, that's a good thing. So, you know, now that you mention it, Kramos in chat has asked us like 3 times, what's has to do with Project Yulia? This probably has very much to do with the same idea as what's called Earth Care. And it all goes back to the Earth Care satellite. Now, I don't want you can't get my location. Google be like, send me your location. Let's talk about communication. So the Earth Care satellite's been launched, and I don't want your cookies. You know, the cloud aerosol interactions, basically. So it's all about studying what's going on in the sky at altitude, because currently the best we have is what are called radiosonde data. If I go, no, it's windy.com that I go to. Windy, let's go here. And if you go and you scroll out, I'll just come over here real quick. And we'll come up to this and we'll pop that bad boy up real quick. And you can see here, this is a radiosonde plot, and it'll show you where the height of, I'm getting the lightning pops on the, every time I hear that when I'm live on the air, I'm like, what the hell is that? What even is that? Let me see if I can make that bigger for you guys. So what you can actually see is, this is what radiosonde data looks like. And this is about the best we have. They launched these balloons into the air twice a day to measure this. And right here you can see The temperature is the red line. The dew point depression is the blue line. This is what's called the Appelman-Schmidt criteria. If you want to figure out whether or not contrails are going to form, you're looking for areas where the lines are close together. And then right here is at 38,625 feet is an inversion where suddenly it gets warmer. So right here, we're at negative 72 degrees, and then it starts going negative 65, negative 58. This is the way they measure. Still is right. Jeff may actually just like randomly appear out of nowhere. He's like, somebody's talking about radiosondes on the internet. Jeff taught me a lot about this. I had heard of radiosondes. I'd never really used them. I knew what Appelman-Schmidt was. I knew how to compare it to a radiosonde, but Jeff has taught me so much more. But basically, this shows you the height of the troposphere. This is the tropopause right here at this current point where you see the diversion. That is an inversion. So to answer your question, between Earth Care and Yulia, these would be about monitoring physics and and aerosols at altitude. And I'm gonna have to look into this Yulia a little bit more. But more than likely, based on the, little preview I just got here, it's a LiDAR measuring autonomously atmospheric wind and temperature from 5 kilometers up to 50 kilometers, 24/7 basis. Now, the point I'd like to make about this is I've been saying forever that radiosonde data, while it is useful, is only twice a day at all of these locations on the map. So when you see these dots on the map, these are where they're releasing balloons, okay? Twice a day. And they show, where they release the balloon at. That's not good enough. I mean, in today's modern world, we should be doing better than this, okay? We could be collecting much better data and do it 24/7. So this is obviously a step in that direction. I'm bookmarked that one real quick. And thanks for the heads up on that, Kramos. We'll look at that another time. Back to the story. So anyway, Ron Bayman, economist, having a conversation with himself. It appears in the geoengineering group. And I thought I got rid of all those notifications. Thanks for the follow, but it's going to go off. It'll literally go off for the next half hour if I don't get rid of it. Chat box. It's alert box, which is turned off. Oh, it's not turned off on this one. That's why. Got it. Fixed it. I fixed it, everybody. There will be no more ring-a-dings. Promise. So anyway, he wrote that letter. This was actually July 27th, 2023. But that wasn't good enough, and back to what he's saying here, that we can't address it because of moral hazard. We can't even figure out the moral hazard part. So let's just go ahead and, get to the cooling the freaking planet, like John Neeson likes to say. So after falling on deaf ears, Bayman decided to give it another go, and he wrote an open letter to the International Maritime Organization. Sulfur reduction regulations and shipping fuels have accelerated global warming. And this is probably the most famous picture of ship tracks. It's been used everywhere. This is sulfur oxide emissions create global cooling ship tracks. Source NASA, North Pacific, 2009. This is what they used to look like. Okay. Anyway, so right here is the actual open letter. I gave a link to it so you guys can all see it yourself. And what you'll see right here on page 2, an open letter to the IMO supporting maritime transports cools the atmosphere while preserving air quality benefits. Yeah, man. Okay. I see where you're going with this. Did I skip right past the deaths part? I mean, where is that at? Did I not put it in here? I mean, I don't even see the word death in here. Oh, there they are. Let's go back up to that real quick, because I did skip right over it. So if in 2012 the world shipping complied with the requirement, the associated sulfate pollution would cause 46,000 premature deaths. If that shipping used today's higher sulfur fuels, the death toll would be around 87,000 people. So bunker fuel roughly double the deaths of low sulfur fuel associated with it. Okay, back to that now. I don't know how that slipped through the cracks. You know, I was just trying to make this a quick video, but you know, hey, what do you do, man? What do you do? So what does he suggest in his open letter? Okay, it's right here. It's number 1 and number 2. Partially relax the international maritime bunker sulfur fuel sulfur emissions regulation for high seas maritime transport outside of emissions controls areas in ways that, as much as possible, would increase the global cooling benefits of sulfur or similar aerosols without causing harm to humans or natural systems. Same thing. Let's use low sulfur when we're taking off from the airport, and when we get up to altitude, let's use high sulfur. Let's use low sulfur when we're near ship ports, but once they're out to sea, hey IMO, can they use their bunker fuel without any kind of scrubbing technologies so that we can get our ship tracks back? Because geoengineering, because global warming. That is the story. This is where we're at. Begging for bunker fuel. They want it back that bad. Require that benign tropospheric aerosol precursors such as seawater, referred to as the marine cloud brightening method, or other possible tropospheric aerosol referred to as climate catalysts method, that can be released from ships that would replace global cooling benefits of sulfur aerosols without, as much as possible, causing harm to humans and natural systems, be deployed by maritime transport. Bro literally just said, let's stick Stephen Stalter's and John Latham's marine cloud brightening sea salt spraying apparatus on these ships, in addition to let's have more bunker fuel. Dude, stick to economy. Because this is, you know, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Translation: use bunker fuel out to sea, mid-ocean, use low sulfur near ports, require sea salt blowing machines on international ships for marine cloud brightening. Bruh, imagine the hubris of a retired economist trying to play God with the world's weather and begging the IMO to empower geoengineering at any cost. Oh, by the way, it doesn't work, and in fact, it actually makes things worse. Marine cloud brightening. This just in, not just in, but this one's actually August 12th, 2024. Cloud brightening over oceans may stave off climate change, but with risk. Yes, that's right. Even that little sea salt blower is bad. It's bad, people. Why? Regional deployment of marine cloud brightening off the U.S. West Coast, and they're talking about that thing that happened in San Francisco, that thing that literally got canceled, not like social media canceled, like literally like funding cut off. We're not going to do it again, even though we did it in secret. We promise we'll stop marine cloud brightening. Why? Because of this research paper that came out, in addition to other factors that would take a whole nother video to explain, that marine cloud brightening off the U.S. West Coast would be far less effective in the warmer world of 2050, and if implemented, could unleash higher temperatures in Europe and other regions, warns recent research. If you look at that research, it's right here. This is in Nature, and I've actually got the link to the actual paper. You can read the actual thing. Diminished efficacy of regional marine cloud brightening in a warmer world. Oh, as the world gets warmer, marine cloud brightening works less. Surprise. So basically, they did some studying on this, and they basically said, so even if you're applying marine cloud brightening in a smaller space, the impacts end up being global. This is what I've been trying to get through on this channel forever. And it's called the butterfly effect. Does a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil cause tornadoes in Texas? One small change can have huge, drastic changes worldwide if you FAFO. And if you don't know what FAFO means, you might want to use your favorite search engine to find out. There's a little hint in there. But yeah, they between marine cloud brightening, between all, weather modification projects, all of these things, they're bad. In fact, I'll do you one better. And this is our summary. Marine cloud brightening and ship tracks from bunker fuel are not adequate solutions for global warming. Both MCB and ship tracks are examples of pollution working as cloud seeding. At best, they are temporarily cool. At worst, they could destabilize weather worldwide and even lead to global conflict. Experts raise alarm over cloud seeding. Could weather wars erupt? Anytime we interfere with the natural precipitation patterns, we set off a chain of events that we have little control over. He said, adding, if we're not careful, unrestrained use of this cloud seeding technology could end up causing diplomatic instabilities with neighboring countries engaging in tit-for-tat weather wars. This was published about 3 months ago. This is not the only example of this. This is not the first time I'm hearing this even. If I go to ClimateViewer.com and I just search real quick, I just go to the archive, all news posts, and scroll down just a hair. And then you got this jewel right here. Geoengineering may cause World War III. Because this is what it's really about. If you guys want to watch that, I'll drop that in chat. It's one of the last articles I wrote on ClimateViewer.com before, moving over to SUBSTACK. I'm currently in the process of taking my SUBSTACK archives and moving them back to ClimateViewer.com, so they're there forever. But these videos, they just geoengineering World War III and Nervous Barrio. This is when I was on Quite Frankly show, and he deletes his YouTube videos all the time. So you would literally have to just search for this and then go get it on one of his other. No, not on my site. It's on his freaking other channels. So BitChute or. It's on his other things. But anyway, stormy outlook, plans to hack Earth's weather could start World War III, panic scientists warn. And the links are all there. I'm not making this stuff up. This was a real big deal at the time. That screwing with other people's weather, you may FAFO. And it may end up very bad. Even presidential candidate Andrew Yang thinks rogue geoengineering could cause a war. He wants the U.S. to take the lead before it happens, Business Insider. UN geoengineering governance blocked by U.S. and Saudi Arabia. This is a big problem because geoengineering governance is all about the idea that geoengineering and cloud seeding technologies could end up causing World War III. Conflict, weather wars, nuclear wars, global conflict because people think that they are gods, that they can screw with their local weather, and then when it affects another country, do you think if you prick us, do we not bleed? I mean, honestly, what do you think people are going to do? How do you think people are going to react when it stops raining in their country forever? Because that's what geoengineering does. It changes worldwide precipitation patterns. This has been modeled. This has been actually observed. When volcanoes erupt, there will be changes in rainfall patterns worldwide. Geoengineering stratospheric aerosol injection with sulfur, with titanium, with aluminum, with calcium, or diamond dust. Those are the big five that they talk about all the time. With any of these, changes in solar radiation will affect rainfall patterns, and that could be taken as a threat by other countries. That's why the CIA was pretty concerned about it. And they said, in the CIA Weather Warfare and Climate Terrorism back in 2015, that they called Alan Robach, the geoengineer, and said, I got a phone call from two men who said they were consultants for the CIA, and we'd like to know if some other country was controlling our climate. Would we know about it? I told them after thinking a little bit that we probably would, but the truth is we wouldn't. And Alan knows that now. At the same time, I thought they were probably also interested in if we could control someone else's climate, could they detect it? And just so you know, in the same article, very shortly after, we cannot detect rogue geoengineering. And this is from the 20th Conference on Planned and Inadvertent Weather Modification. Albedo variability limits potential detection of engineered increases in reflected sunlight, by Diane Seidel from NOAA. And yeah, you can actually watch that video on my YouTube channel. I uploaded it back in 2015. They cannot catch somebody doing rogue geoengineering. So despite what Alan told the CIA back then, they don't know. They don't know who's doing it. The laws are weak. It's impossible to catch people. We need a worldwide sensor network to detect whether somebody's doing hostile or non-hostile climate and weather intervention technologies, so that we can separate the good from the bad and know if you're being honest about it and you're modifying the weather, and then you go cause a flood or you stir up a tornado or something like that, we can hold you accountable in a court of law. Somebody could sue your ass, okay, at the bare minimum. But when we're talking about governments, okay, governments that don't have your best interests at heart, let's just put it that way. If they're involved in geoengineering and they're up to shenanigans, then we should have a way to push back on that. And I'm working on that. It's called the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. And this is directly related to the weather warfare ban, which is like the weakest ban ever, but still it's something to start with. That was banned in 1978. ClimateViewer.com/nmod, and working on legislation that we can go and use state by state, so that you guys can get involved in banning the practices of weather modification and geoengineering in your locality. And I hope that that legislation will not just include the legal language and penalties, but all of the information in a supplementary packet, so that when you go and you take the law to your legislator and there's questions asked by some scientific community, the answers are already there, so that you have a strong case why this should be banned and you can get it enacted. The days of playing pity pat on the internet, they're coming to a close. We are getting to the point now where we really got to push back and force our legislators to take action. And without the proper information, without the proper terminology and understanding the scope of the problem, you're doomed to fail. I don't want to see people fail like they did with the Tennessee chemtrail ban. The language is weak. It's unenforceable. That's not the kind of win we want. All that does is bring attention to the subject. It doesn't deal with the problem. So hopefully we will get to that point. That's why I wax deep on these topics. That's why I, try to give so many layers to the information, because the more you understand, the more dangerous you are to the people who would play God with our weather and our planet. So to a better informed group of climate viewers out there, I love you. I mean it. I'm going to be on Quite Frankly TV, quitefrankly.tv on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Well, probably about 7:30, maybe even 8. But tune in to Quite Frankly on Tuesday night. We're going to be talking about hacking the election, hacking all the things. I'm not going to give away anything here tonight, but it's been a while since I've hung out with my brother from another mother, and I'm looking forward to, being on Frank's show. And so tune in Tuesday night to Quite Frankly. It's going to be a really good show. I promise you that. And I'd also like to, ask nicely. That's not my way. I'll wait for the tar and feathering. That's actually how I got banned from the geoengineering group originally. It was that I quoted a thing from Asilomar, and I told Ken Caldera that me and my people will be there with the tar and feathers, and Andrew Lockley got real butthurt about it and said that was a threat. So they banned me from their geoengineering group. Interestingly enough, Andrews told me that I'm welcome to come back now. So there's that. But yes, Stone wants to tar and feather. I'm all attack ideas, not people. I don't support violence, only when necessary. I teach this to my daughters. I teach this to anybody who'll listen. Violence is only an answer. Let me put it another way. Violence is the only answer when you have no other solution. Always try to avoid any kind of physical confrontation, because I'm going to tell you from personal experience, something as simple as a fist fight could end in death. And nobody should want that. If you do want that, you're a sociopath or possibly a psychopath. I am not that guy. I have never been that guy. I abhor bullies. I don't think that anybody should physically threaten anybody else. We should be able to have a war of words, a war of minds, sands, fists, and feet. But there are people out there that are stuck in that, caveman mentality, or they think that they're a thug, or they think they're some kind of badass. And you can warn them, hey, I've been doing martial arts since I'm 12. You don't want to fight me. Leave me alone. Hey, I just don't want to fight you. I'm not feeling it today. Leave me alone. You can even run. But when you've run and you're cornered and you got nowhere else to go, at that point, understand that every single physical confrontation, when you enter that physical confrontation, you should go into that knowing that you forfeit your life upon entering that arena. Because there's not going to be any ref around to go, stop, break up the fight. I've seen it happen. And it ain't pretty. It definitely ain't pretty. So that's why I say attack ideas, not people. And I mean physical attacks. Because me, calling people dumbasses or things like that. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. If you're hurt by words, this is not the channel for you, because I think you're probably, have some kind of mental condition, or you're a snowflake. But that's, that's right. Stella said it right there. The first thing that you learn in martial arts is how to avoid confrontation. And anybody who actually is a martial artist will tell you, or a confident fighter, they're not going to walk around picking fights. They're going to be usually the calmest person until it's absolutely necessary. And that's the way it should be. So, though I disagree with people like Ken Caldera, David Keith, this Ron Bayman guy, John Neeson, all these people, I disagree with them very deeply. I don't think of them as evil people, because once you start down that path of dehumanization, you can justify any evil against people. That's what I mean by attack ideas, not people. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something from this, we really dug deep into what is it with the bunker fuel, ship tracks? Why does it matter? Why are they begging for them back? And now you know the rest of the story. And I cannot finish this video without mentioning big shout out to my homeboy Dominic Marama for the very beautiful new graphics, as you can see here and right over here, and this new intro video. All of this was made by Dominic Marama, my brother from Canada, my partner in crime at weathermodificationhistory.com. Dominic, I told you guys I'm working on the show, and we're putting together, the pieces. These are the first pieces. Get an intro together, get the overlay going, and there will be segments, featured new, breaking news, the featured content, mailbag, what would Alex Jones say, many more things to come. As we get those clips together, I will be implementing them into a more of a variety show, which I cannot wait to get to that point, because it's just going to make it more fun. Okay. And I think that's going to be epic. So big shout outs to my homeboy, Dominic Marama. I gotta show him off before we get off the stream. That's Dominic right there. And Dominic is one hell of a talented graphics artist. Dominic Marama is the one who made all of these newspapers. And nobody, unless you're a graphics artist, can, really, appreciate how much work it takes to go to Google News, to go to all the different pages, to copy paste all of these into, some of these are like 24,000 pixels wide. I mean, these are absolutely huge images. Then go back to the front page of the newspaper and get this, and put it all together. That is at weathermodificationhistory.com/newspapers. And while you're there, go up and check out Dominic's work. He is an absolutely amazing graphics artist. Dominic's one of my best friends that I've met on the internet. We've been partners in crime since 2015. And he is, bar none, the most talented graphics artist that I've ever met. So I really, Dominic, I know you're watching this, or you're going to watch this later, but thank you so much, brother. This is just some of Dominic's work. Absolutely stunning graphics artist, who is now a plumber up in Canada. And he's making more money plumbing than he did in graphics art, because guess what? They never pay you good money for your talent. Never, ever pay you good money for your talent. And with talent like this, a man should be filthy rich. But regardless, I talked Dominic into this stuff, and I said, Dominic, I need a thing, like right up here, and I needed to say live, and I don't really have a vision, like I had a vision, but it was too technical, like I was shooting for the moon. I wanted something in this style of Fallout, the video game, with the Pip-Boy and the 1950s vibes with the like public service announcement and all of that, just feel to it. And I said, you know what? Free reign, dude. Just make me something cool. Even if it's, cyberpunk or whatever. I think he nailed it. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Dominic, I love you, brother. You're making my show look so much better. You're making me look so much better. And I appreciate it. So that's our show for tonight, guys. There are many new things to come. I'm almost done with ClimateViewer.com's makeover. Brand new version of that coming out. And then finally, I will be able to get to the 3D map, ClimateViewer 3D, which I have not even shown on my YouTube channel in like 2 years. Like almost at all. So I'm really looking forward to making a new version of ClimateViewer 3D. Always working on this 24/7, and just never enough time in the day. But that's what comes with a 40-hour-a-week job, a wife, 2 daughters, and a mother-in-law that I'm building a house for right now. So many things to do, so little time. So I appreciate everybody who spends their time with me. I appreciate everybody who's been a Patreon, who's signed up for Substack and is supporting my work. God bless you all. I really appreciate it. You guys are making a difference in my family. My family appreciates it. And I love you very much. Love you, mean it. And remember, use this information when you share it, like it, leave a comment to attack ideas, not people. Catch you on the next one. What is your t-shirt this week? I guess one for the road. Ninja Cat. That's right. Ninja Cat. My mother-in-law honestly thought this was a Clemson t-shirt because she saw this. She saw this. She's like, oh, that's a Tiger shirt. I like that. I like a Clemson Tiger shirt. That is a cool Clemson Tiger shirt. I ain't never seen one like that. But, no, that's my Ninja Cat shirt. All right, guys. Peace. Love you, mean it. If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.